State your name.
Jose Covarrubias.
Where do you live?
200 block of North Linwood on East Baltimore.
So you were affected by the riots in a way.
I was.
And did you like what you saw in terms of how the riots took part?
No, it actually made me very upset seeing a whole bunch of, young teenagers and a lot of people from the streets looting and thinking that everything was okay because it really wasn't. There's a big effect on the city because of them.
So do you think the riots happened directly because of the shooting and killing of Freddie Gray? Or do you think it was a deeper issue?
I feel like it was a deeper issue because Freddie Gray was just something that happened in Baltimore. You have things like Ferguson in Missouri where like the police shot and killed what most people saw as an innocent man that had no gun, no weapon, to pose a threat for the police officers. But here, it's like almost the same case again. And I don't want to say innocent because he had a very long list of criminal records, but the police really had no motive just because he was running and he had nothing on him when they made the arrest, and then the way they treated him, they didn't follow protocol by putting him in the paddy wagon. So I feel like it's more about police brutality, not just the fact that Freddie Gray was killed.
So do you think police brutality is the only problem or issue facing Baltimore City?
Oh, of course not. There's a lot more issues.
Such as?
Like issues with gang violence, with, people out selling drugs, the, heroin users. Baltimore was at one point labeled the heroin capital of America with people that use drugs and they use heroin. And that's a big problem, in order for a city to grow and develop. I think that drug problems have to be dealt with more seriously.
So, with all these issues facing Baltimore City, what would you do to change change just the city, like make it better?
I would probably start, more outreach centers for the youth, especially because a lot of the protesters, were teenagers in high school, and I feel like if they had a place to be, a place where they could, have a safe environment, not be judged because of the thoughts that they share. I feel like that would raise young African American children that are exposed to drug violence or violence because of gangs. It would help them out. So more outreach centers would be a positive thing.
So do you think this problem only affected African Americans or the city as a whole?
Well, there was obviously Caucasian people looting. There was I heard Hispanic people looting as well, but the majority was the majority were white. I mean black. So I don't know. I mean, I guess the whole city was impacted, but obviously African Americans took it more to heart because one of their kind was murdered by the police.
Now, do you see this as an outlet for black frustration with the government in a way how they feel they're set up to fail, whereas other races, white for example, are giving more opportunity to succeed in life? Do you agree with that statement?
It's a very controversial statement because there are a lot of problems where, race comes into play, but I don't think so because there's a lot of people who have made it, from bad neighborhoods. They've made it up. They've chosen the right path because, in my opinion, it's all about your mentality, what you want to do with your life. It's it's about how hard you want it, how much you're willing to work for, and about making the right decisions. And if you're hanging around with people that aren't going to make the right decisions, then I think some people can hold you back. So you should make it clear to everybody that you want to succeed, and that can be for any race. So no, I mean it's how much you want it. But yeah, there are kids who are exposed to gang violence. They don't choose to be a part of it. They're born into it. Their dad's a gang member. Their grandparents were gang members. Their cousins, uncles, people like that. That's much harder because that's all they see since they were little. So it's a very hard statement. I mean, question to answer because of all the possibilities that could happen. But at the end, it just comes down to you as a person. What do you want?
So, on that note, would you like to add anything on this particular situation regarding the riots, or just anything in general?
Well, I feel like the media didn't do a good job covering the peaceful protesters that were involved. There was a big focus on only the rioters because that's what the media likes to cover. They would rather cover the bad things than the good things because it interests people more. You know, yeah, people were rioting, people were looting, and all that stuff, but at the same time, there was like 200 priests or clergy members that held hands together, walked a couple blocks. There were people, covered up in tattoos, and they looked like they were from the streets or whatever, and they were out there telling people to protest the right way because they didn't want to give police members a reason to shoot them. And I think that the media could have done a much better job in showing the good side of the protesters because I know many of the leaders are offended by that.
Alright, and now,